Lesson 0.1, Simplify Expressions and Solve Equations. In this lesson, we'll take a look at simplifying expressions using order of operations and solving equations with one variable. Now, when we think order of operations, PEMDAS should come to mind. That's a little group or a little mnemonic device to help remember the order. P stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. M and D stand for multiply or divide from left to right. And A and S stand for add and subtract. Following these steps will help us simplify the expressions below. Take a moment and simplify that first example. Pause the video and see if you can determine what that result will be. Then press play and see how you did. All right, let's check. Did you get -16? Following order of operations, we had a parenthesis and an exponent that I evaluated first. Then I just did adding and subtracting from left to right to get an output of -16. If you feel ready, pause the video once again and try the second one. Then press play and see how you did. Your second answer should be -6. There were a lot of negatives in this one, and that's usually kind of a common thing that kids will find is a struggle for them. Take your time with order of operations, and you should be able to simplify any expression. Combining like terms is often involved in simplifying expressions. When you're asked to combine like terms, what you're looking for are variables that match, or matching terms. So if you have matching terms, meaning that your variables are the same with the same exponent and everything, you simply just combine your coefficients by adding or subtracting. So I'll say add or subtract coefficients. Oops, there we go. Sorry, my stylus pen isn't working really well right now on my iPad, making things a little bit more challenging. Let's take a look at the example on the right. It just says combine like terms, pretty straightforward. -10n plus 6n squared plus 3m minus 5n minus 2mn minus 1 plus mn. As we look for like terms, we're looking for terms that have the same variable with the matching exponent. So -10n and 6n squared would not be a match. However, -10n and -5n have the same variable, so we just look at simply combining those coefficients out in front. -10 minus 5 would be -15n. Those two terms are combined. The next term I see is plus 6n squared, and there are no other n squared terms. I'll leave that one as is. I have a 3m and then a 2mn. Since the m and the mn are different, the 3m is all by itself as well. We have -2mn and then just a plain mn, which is technically a 1 for a coefficient. -2 plus 1 would be -1mn, or you could just put -mn. And then our constant at the very end, -1. Doesn't really look like we simplified it any more than it originally was, but that's combining like terms. Finally, when you're asked to solve equations, your goal is to just isolate your variable to one side. And then get everything else to the other side and simplify. Now, that's nothing new, but the equations that we're working with are kind of complex with all the fractions. Like before, I'd like you to just pause the video and see what you can do to solve this first example. Then press play and see if we have a match. If not, look at the steps that I did and see if they match with any of yours. My first example, I got x equals 56. I moved 8 over, and then I got rid of the fraction right away, multiplying by the reciprocal. Finally, I subtracted 4. Okay, press pause and see the next example on the right. Hopefully this one went a little quicker. I added 8 again and multiplied by the reciprocal, and I got y equals 9. Now the two problems below are a little bit more complex than the ones above, so see if you can take a look at what to do to solve the first one. Then press play and see how you did. All right, take a look at what I did for that problem. X equals negative 11/20. Now here's where you have to be careful for the directions. If the video or if the instructions online say fraction only, a decimal would not be accepted for full credit. So be careful if you're using your calculator and getting decimal approximations. I combined like terms on the right, and I got rid of the fraction, and then I just moved 1 over and divided by 4, which is the same as multiplying by 1/4. All right, you guys, last example. You have two fractions that both have the variable in them. Let's see what you can do to solve. Try it first and then press play. For our final example, I got t equals 5. In this example, since both fractions had the variable, I just got a common denominator. That allowed me to combine the numerators, 7t minus 5t, to get 2t. I could have reduced the fraction. I just decided to multiply by the reciprocal first, and I multiplied the right-hand side by 10 over 2, and that's how I got 5. On any of these problems, there's more than one way that you could go about solving. As long as we all get to the same result, we should be in good shape. That's it. If you've watched the video, you're ready for tomorrow.